Blog Talk Radio.
Contra Radio Network, Preparedness Radio, with your host, John Jeffers.
And welcome to another episode of Contra Radio Network. I'm John Jeffers, your host, founder, and executive producer. Here tonight, I want to talk to you about something that we as preppers have a tendency, well, we don't want to think about this. We don't. We don't want to think about it. We don't want to do anything. We don't want to touch it. The subject is this: why prepper groups fail. A lot of reasons. Many, well, let's put it this way, not all of them are going to fail. Most of them will. You know, and we're going to, this is important to know. If we're going to be honest, let's be honest with each other. If you're in a prepper group, when was the last time you guys did anything as a group? When was the last time you did a meeting? When was the last time you did a training exercise? To be honest with you, and I'm going to be honest with you, because if I'm not, well, then I lose credibility, and I'm not going to waste my credibility or integrity on some nonsense. So the bottom line is this. I want you to know something. You know, my prepper group, the 11th APG, the one I started, the one that, you know, let's face it, we don't do anything. No meetings. No field exercises, no training. And the truth is this. It's only a group in name only. The only maybe 3 members we might have be myself and Chuck and maybe Kenny. That's about it. It's time to face reality. It really is. So tonight, let's discuss some things. The first thing I want to talk about are why prepper groups fail. And on-point preparedness, because I love to give credit where credit's due, because then again, it keeps my integrity intact. So this was written on January 13th of 2015, and I want you to just bear with me on this, all right? Because when you start to hear about it, I want you to think about your own prepper group. If you don't have one, I want you to start thinking about what I'm looking for in a prepper group, and we're going to get to that. But first things first, let's talk about why they fail. Who is this written by? The author has not put his name to it, but that's okay. He writes, "It has almost been a year and a half since I started leading the Cincinnati Survival Preparedness Group." He says the group has about 300 members, of which 200 rotate in and out of class meetings of approximately 50 people. However, it was never always this active. Before I stepped in to lead the group, it was dormant for months without any activity from the organizer. Many had tried to contact him in order to get the group restarted, but his email account was dead. It seemed to me at the time that the group was headed to the grave as well. With this grim outlook, I decided to try to find other preparedness communities in the area. Day after day, scouring the internet, I could not find a single local group that hadn't shut down or was inactive. How could this be so? I live in a conservative area in the heartland of Ohio. I'm surrounded by other conservative areas like Kentucky and the southern Indiana countryside. Additionally, the steady stream of current events had to dictate that more people were becoming aware and prepared. Surely, there had to be some group that I could liaise with. Unfortunately, my days of searching were fruitless, and I found myself as the lone wolf prepper. It was by luck and a little leadership that I was able to find the previous organizer's email on LinkedIn and was able to get website control and start it back up. Now, from what my readers tell me all across the country, the answer is a dismal yes. Because it's hard having a difficult time as other people did trying to find like-minded people. But why are preparedness groups so prone to fail when the world around us is falling apart at an expedient rate? Something systemic has to be occurring. So if many people are complaining about it, so while I may not have all the answers, we can at least explore them since I've taken, what it takes to be in a successful group. The first one is complacency. Some folks that come into the group have just brushed the surface in truth-seeking the world around them. I do not think they have dug deep enough to see the real and immediate dangers that we face. Therefore, they are complacent and end up not preparing the way they need to. Second is apathy. Some of my members are super eager to get started in the group. They are fully aware of the world around them, but fear that there is too little time. With this group of people, I think their fear turns into apathy. How can we possibly prepare for something so earth-shattering? Number 3, a failure to let go, denial. While it's not completely identical to apathy, I see many preppers still want to grasp on the blue pill. I cannot prep more because of fill in the blank. My day job, family commitments, materialism, sports, school. Like I said, fill in the blank. And although the world's on fire, life around me still seems pretty normal. Laziness, and it's similar to denial. Laziness gets the better of some because the world keeps spinning. While other members of the group are putting in honest, hard-working preparation, others do not. This is usually a contention point. Tensions arise and the group splits. Extremism. There are quite a few militia prepper groups out there. There are some that are very balanced, and others that have extreme tendencies. I have heard of some of these preparedness groups whose plan it is to take supplies by force if the grid goes down. When these folks find their ways into groups, the alpha male tendencies arise and groups tend to split. A power struggle, control. Too many chiefs, not enough Indians. So let's face it, there are substantially more men involved in the preparedness movement than women. And let's take a hold there. Side note, that is true, even with CRN. Our group consists of about 75% men and 25% women. That bears out. There are obvious alpha male tendencies within groups of men, whereas women tend to be more social, more collaborative. That's somewhat of a generalized statement, but I have seen several times when men butt heads about how a group is being led. This ultimately leads to what? A big power struggle and disbandment of the group. Trust. Unless you can band together with close friends and family, inviting acquaintances into your group can be very difficult. This is especially pertinent when you talk about ownership of land and allowing people to know where you live. How about a lack of leadership? What does it take to lead a preparedness group? What does it take to simply be a leader? I find that many preppers are entirely focused on survival skills and hard assets, but neglect leadership, organization, and improving their people skills. Side note, being in command is about dealing with people, not machines, dealing with people. Engineers will deal with machines. If you're in command, you are dealing with people. You need to have people skills. You got to have it. Okay? So, let's be clear. Preppers tend to be somewhat isolationist. This may stem from the fact that prepper thoughts are taboo in our world, and opening up to others is not so easy. However, if you want a successful group, you need to establish a team of leaders that are organized. Have the end in mind and look for a win-wins for everyone. Have you noticed a trend? Groups split because of individual human psychology and human-to-human interactions. with stress levels high in a grid down scenario, do you think your group can handle and stick together? If you and your spouse are already having issues, will they be exacerbated when the crap hits the fan? Now, this is a very reason why I think preppers need to start thinking equally about HR skills, human resource skills in their groups. Every group needs to have a strong leader that is a people person, can be calm, resolve tensions, and be the glue that keeps it together. Every group also needs to have members that value others and look at interdependence within the group rather than independence, selfishness. Is he right? These are some of the reasons why prepper groups fail. It's true. Think about it. Yeah. Welcome, Rob A. Chuck. Timothy P. Welcome to the video feed here at the broadcast. Let me take a minute here. I want to thank Charles in Nebraska, Pat in Illinois, Rob in Indiana. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for your generous donations. Thank you. You know, it's nothing like getting a nice, generous donation to let you know that you are making a difference, that people actually value what you're doing, what you're saying. A heads up, after the first of the year, you won't notice much, but CRN's going to be doing a few changes in the background. You won't notice it, at least not initially. We have been looking at different platforms. What I'm finding is this. As much as Blog Talk Radio is a real pain in the butt, they have some features that other platforms just do not offer. For example, we have a dedicated call-in line for listeners like you to call in and talk during the show. Chat with me. Tell me what you think. Other platforms do not have a dedicated phone number. I have a dedicated phone number through Blog Talk Radio. Their idea of a studio call-in line is Skype. Not everybody Skypes. Not everybody wants to Skype. Let me think. What am I thinking? Oh, yeah. I was looking at doing more than just videos. So I did find this one. It was, I forgot what the service was called. But at .tv, $18.76 a month. I'm thinking, well, I could probably do that. I could probably swing that, do some Contra Television Network. And they said, well, how many listeners do you have? I said, I got about anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 a month. I said, well, that's going to cost you $3,000 a month. Thank you. We will not be using your service anytime in the future. I will not be bent over and held hostage. Did that for 26 years with the sheriff's office. Been bent over many times, which is why I never got that promotion. Another story for another time, believe me. But I wanted to make it out there. One of the other things we're going to talk about. Now, we talked about why the groups fail. Let's talk about choosing allies for your survival group. This is, who is this? Who wrote this? Let me find who wrote it, because I think it's interesting. I can tell you where I found it. I picked it up at Preparing for SHTF, where knowledge is the key to survival when the shit hits the fan. Or you could come to Contra Radio Network, where my good friend Chuck has coined the best motto, tagline I can think of. Prepare today, survive tomorrow. Just thought I'd put it out there. When was this written? There's not even a date on it. Unfortunately. All right. Anyways, that's where I found it from. So choosing allies for your survival group. This is important stuff, guys, because we talked about why prepper groups fail. Let's talk about how to find the right allies. The trap some people fall into is assuming that everyone thinks as they do and thus would react the same. This, of course, is not the case usually. If you don't know the person well, then you don't know if they can be trusted to have the right reaction when things go south. Now, those attached at the hip to the system as it is set up today will be the first to fail. So you do need a way to screen people to some extent before you allow them into your inner fold, if you will. This means you keep your plans to yourself until you know. Now, you will probably find the reason that most people join a prepper group is for their own survival, selfishness, and not necessarily for the benefit of the group. However, know this: if the group fails, individuals will likely fail as well. Some people do not think that far enough ahead. Therefore, before accepting anyone, you have to know what he or she can do for the group as a whole. So you can essentially weed out those that would become a camp follower instead of being a productive participant. Now, a well-functioning group serves everyone, as long as everyone serves the group. If this concept fails, then it is a chaotic mess, and people will simply look out for themselves first. That is true. With that being said, however, individuals must be self-sufficient enough to survive on their own. And this takes a unique individual and oftentimes may go against the entire concept of a group. So finding the right people is hard because there has to be a balance, right? You with me so far? You simply cannot have people that are locked into the system in your survival group. We're going to call it a survival group because that's what it is once the grid goes down. The prepping is over. Now it's a survival group. And you have to choose carefully. Those locked into the system will fail when the system fails. They would not be independent people, and so they would not be good candidates for your survival group. Now, anyone can buy food, supplies, and other materials to get ready for a crisis. But what skills do they have once the disaster strikes? And in the days after? Skills, knowledge, and fortitude are what will be needed along with your essential supplies. Some people will only be loyal to the group as long as the group serves their daily needs. That's true. How many of you have thought to yourselves, every man for himself? That's what he's talking about. So once they feel the group is not functioning in their best interest, they may very well disappear. And they may disappear with a load of supplies, as well as knowledge of how the group functions, numbers of people, skill levels, and they will know what weaponry could be brought to bear. Now, even the most loyal individuals will have their own self-interest at heart when it comes to survival. That's just human nature. You got to fight that. There are, of course, those that run into burning buildings to rescue people, throw themselves on hand grenades to save the team, and there have been numerous other instances throughout history where people have performed heroic acts to save others, and oftentimes sacrificing their own lives while doing so. You simply don't know what you don't know until you know. I'll say it again. You don't know what you don't know until you do know. Now, given all that we have discussed, it would seem pointless to even begin gathering a survival group together because everyone would be at odds. It can be done. But it takes training as a group and having a clear set of guidelines and very stringent requirements for joining the group. Those joining a group should welcome the strict requirements because this tells them the group is serious and not some ragtag outfit tossed together at the last moment. The leaders need confidence in their members, and the members need confidence in their leaders. Remember the term I've used so many times. I'm going to remind you because of you new people that are out there. The term is voluntary compliance. As leader, you're going to want to make these people want to do the job that they need to do, the job they've been tasked to do. You can't make them come to your meetings. You can't make them come to your trainings. You can't make them participate in your field exercises. You can't. All you can do is say, okay. You're out of the group. So what? They're going to go find another group and screw that one up too. You have to remember it's voluntary compliance. So the way to do that, and this is where your people skills come in. You have to motivate them to want to come on in and do the job that they're tasked to do. A survival group, as we have talked about in the past, is not necessarily democracy. You can present your opinions, as could anyone in the group, but your interests oftentimes take a back seat to the interest of the group as a whole. And in some cases, you'll have to suck it up and carry on. Now, define the mission. And simply saying we formed to survive is not a mission statement. It is a simple stating a fact. That's as simple as it is. You're stating a fact, that's all. So how will the group survive? What resources can be brought to bear? And do you plan on helping others? Helping those that can't help themselves? Or are you going to isolate the group, hunker down, and weather the storm, as it were? Because those are the questions that have to be asked. Now you're thinking to yourself, well, that's fine, John, but well, what kind of restrictions can we put on there? Strict requirements for to join the group. Well, that's something that your leadership and you're going to sit down and figure out. And if you are leadership, you need to sit down and start writing it down because you're not going to remember it. Basically, people are lazy, especially in this day and age. They want somebody to do it for them. That's what they want. I want you to prep for me. I want you to defend me. I'm going to be over here on the couch. You have to know. And perhaps, it has been said, you need to figure out who has what skills. Are they serious? Do they show up at the meetings? No one likes doing field exercises in February. Nobody. But will those people show up? Yeah, we're going to go outside and do a traffic control point. Oh, okay. I'll see you in March. You know what I'm talking about. You know I'm right. Something to think about. All right. What do we got here? What do we got there? What is Chuck saying? And he says, so long as John is using the mic for Facebook Live, Blog Talk Radio can't use the mic since it's already being used by Facebook Live. Actually, the way I have it wired up is that it just comes through the computer to the mixer. That's all. Chuck has something to say. Well, by God, let's get to Chuck. Chuck is calling in. Hello, Chuck. Chuck, are you there? He has something to say, and he won't listen to me. That's all right.
Yep, glad to be on.
Hello. There you are. Did you have something you wanted to say?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yep, glad to be on.
There you are.
Oh, it's a damn delay.
Did you have
Okay.
something you wanted to say?
Yeah, let me just go ahead and say it,
Yes, I can.
and just totally ignore the delay, and because I can't hear you, so I'll just come out and say what I need to say. You're absolutely correct. There's lots of complacent, either lazy or just basically uninterested people that are out there. They don't realize the scope and the dangers, the magnitude of the importance of prepping, because they've already been, well, pretty much socially conditioned by the government and by, the news media to always believe, hey, there's always going to be power going through your power lines. There's always going to be food in the grocery stores. There's always going to be, first responders when you need it, just a phone call away, dial 911. And then the few areas that do experience a tragic event that knocks out all power, that knocks out all communication, and no food is available, places like Houston, places like Florida, places like Louisiana. Then they scratch their heads and they look, at each other with bewildered eyes, with that stare and with the expression that somewhat is reminiscent of you putting your ears next to their head and you hear the sound of the ocean, right? Okay, so basically they have no freaking clue. How could this possibly happen? How come there's no more food in the grocery stores? How come there's no first responders? Because they're all out helping other people, dumbass. The point is it's America's response, all Americans' responsibility. The government's not going to do it for you, okay? They aren't. They're not going to tell you either. You got to think for yourselves, which requires at least one brain cell. Do you have it? That remains to be seen. Point is that you are your family's caregiver. You're the breadwinner. You supply the family with clothes. You pay for the mortgage so that your family can continue having a roof over their heads or the rent or what have you. You pay for the food so that they can continue to eat and have food on the table. It doesn't end there. It simply doesn't end there. You're also responsible for the security and safety of your family. And part of the security and safety of your family, also inclusive with the security and safety of your family, is making sure that they have something to eat in the event that, hey, hell breaks loose. Is making sure that they still have shelter in case hell breaks loose. But unfortunately, that message is not reaching the American psyche at all. It's not like during the late 1960s or, early to late 1960s, even the 1950s, throughout most of the 1970s, where we had a civil defense court.
Mm-hmm.
The government was proactively and very actively reaching out to the American people, reaching out to local school districts, reaching out to corporations and places of work to have drilling in place in case there is a nuclear bomb. Right?
The Cold War was in full swing.
Then, since the Reagan administration, since Clinton, everything after the 80s, all that infrastructure started falling apart. Now the only thing that we have that's even a dismal shadow of what the Civil Defense Corps was is FEMA. FEMA. There is no campaign for people to prepare, informing people how important it is to have extra provisions in your home. To have extra money in case you need it in case of emergencies, to have extra medicines in case first responders are not available. And then when finally tragic hits, they look like a complete and utter ignorant dumbass, and rightfully so. They deserve to be looked like that because that's what they are. Perfect example. How many people own homes? They're paying mortgage for, or maybe they already paid out the mortgage, whatever. But they don't have a portable gasoline powered generator. Well, they can't justify paying like $200 or so because my old power only went off once like 3 years ago. So from a cost-benefit analysis, I'll just be throwing away money because I won't be using it much. Dumbass, that's the whole effing point, okay? To get something that your family may need in hopes of you never having to use it, like a gun.
Right.
Like antibacterial medicine if you're cold. The American people at this point need to be shocked out of their fucking pants at this particular point. And they need to come up against a common threat, something that all Americans fear, something they have not been seen since 2001, September 11th. Because unless that happens, they're going to remain in the ignorant box, in the stupid box, in the maybe I don't have a brain cell box. They won't have a freaking clue. And then those few people who do have a clue, that did do their due diligence, that did have vigilance, that did, do the effort to prepare, they're going to be threatened by a whole shitload of ignorant people that outnumber them maybe 1,000 to 1. So, what should we do? We may actually have to put ourselves out there. This isn't a matter of OPSEC anymore. You can't hide your shit and hope nobody finds out. Because if you do that, eventually someone's going to find out. And there'll be more of them than you. You got to sleep sometime. If you're going lone wolf, once they sleep, you're at their mercy.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
You're going to have to put yourself out there and form your own community. Set up your own social network. Get your lazy butts off your asses and go out and meet people and not just be a keyboard warrior. That's what you got to do.
You get a gold star
If you
tonight,
don't,
my friend.
Your family is not going to last a month.
Yes, a gold
If
star
you're
for
alone,
you tonight.
you're not going to
Okay.
last a week.
Listen to my
If you're not
man
prepared
here.
at all, you're not going to last 3 days.
Chuck gets a gold star tonight.
So think about it.
And you know what? You're
I'm
right. You're right. You're right. It's okay to tell other people when they're right, they're right. And in this case, Chuck is absolutely correct. Absolutely correct, my friend. Do you feel better? Do you feel vented? Do you feel relieved? Well, let's do this. Now, I want to talk to you. This is from gunsavelife.com. And I'm going to post a picture of this jackass. I want you to know who you're dealing with. I want you to get a good, hard look at this clown. We've heard about him. I've talked about him a couple times. Now I can put a picture, well, a face with the stupidity. This is from gunsavelife.com. The title is this, So-Called Prepper Fail. We're going to take what you've got and there's nothing you can do about it. Written November 12th, 2013. All right. We're talking about Tyler Smith. Tyler Smith lives in Buckley, Washington. He was on, he's part of the survivalist group Spartan Survival. And he was featured on Doomsday Preppers on National Geographic Channel. All right. These yahoos in Washington State think preparing for emergencies simply involves stocking up on guns and ammo to take other people's supplies. This is what Chuck's talking about, so listen. I wish them the best of luck. You know, in fact, it's why I volunteer my time with groups like Appleseed and U.S. Riflemen's Association, teaching everyday Americans the fundamentals of using their firearms effectively. Students can use those skills to defend themselves and their families in the event of attack. In fact, I've been doing this since before Tyler started puberty. This is from the Buckley, Washington, the News Tribune. Nuclear war, volcanic eruption, terrorist attack. Though the scenarios of how an apocalyptic event would paralyze or destroy society varies. A group of like-minded individuals in East Pierce County believes that good defense is the best way to prepare for doomsday. And some believe a good offense is even better. We're not in it to stockpile. We're in it to take what you have, and there's nothing you can do to stop us, Tyler Smith says. We are your worst nightmare, and we are coming. Smith, 29, is the leader of Spartan Survival. The group has more than 80 dues-paying members. Smith founded the organization in 2005 to train and prepare others on survivalism. Bring it, boy. My guess is that the 80-some dues-paying members are going to evaporate after the first one or two spring leaks caused by high-velocity lead projectiles. Now, I'm going to post this. So, let me see if there's anything that's worth, no, you need this needs to be posted. We're going to post it. Yes. Because I want you all to understand what it is we're dealing with here. So I'll post it right after the show. There are people out there like this clown. They're there. They're out there. Yes, Chuck, that's exactly who it is. Chuck knows who I'm talking about. There are people out there that think like this guy. I've met one of them. And he went on ranting and raving how they're going to take everybody's supplies. Yeah. Let me know how that works out for you. They're out there. This is what Chuck was talking about tonight. And I'm talking about why prepper groups fail. You know, as long as I got Chuck here, I'm going to say it again what I said at the beginning of the show, because Chuck is honest, and he'll tell you the truth of the matter. And the truth of the matter is this: our prepper group, you know what? We got two: Chuck, myself, and maybe Kenny. And it's not Chuck's fault. Hell, it's not even my fault. I got started doing this show as opposed to worrying about the prepper group. So, yeah, I guess I'm partially responsible for it. That doesn't mean that our group is a failure. We know what the problem is. We can address it. It can be fixed. It can always be fixed. It can be corrected. It can be righted. And still, you know, myself or Chuck, we can go stand in the middle of the intersection of Fairfield Road and Rollins Road, or even Fairfield Road and Route 134. And we can scream from the mountaintops about why we need to prep. You need to prep. You need to do this. You need to do that. And yet there are still people out there. They'll say, oh, yeah, okay. And they'll nod and they'll go right on their business, just like the world continues to spin. And it will. For some, it will spin out of control. For others, well, not so much. That's what we're talking about. And when you get guys like this Yahoo, and I said, there are people out there that think just like him. They do. You may not even know them, but they're out there. They're in your area. Don't think that they aren't. They are. This is why you need to address why prepper groups fail. How to do a successful group. And I don't know. The truth is this: I don't know of any successful prepper group who has not fallen apart or disbanded. I don't know of any. I don't know a lot, but I don't know of any that are still functioning as they were intended. I don't know. There was one in McHenry that soon after Chuck and I made contact with them, they disbanded for poor leadership. It was not the members, it was the leadership. And I want to tell you something. I don't think the leader of that particular group really realized that you can't make people do what you want. That's why I talk about voluntary compliance. A good leader makes people, motivates them to do the jobs that they need to do. That's why when I created the CEOI for radio communications, only 3 of you even asked for it. I also created a unit status board, or for those that aren't familiar with it, a group status board. And on it, you fill in the blanks with a grease pencil. I'll send it to you. You take it over to wherever, Kinko's or whatever, or any print shop, have them laminate it. You get a grease pencil, and you fill in the blanks. So anybody that walks into the group headquarters, the group tent, the group building, whatever it is, they can look right at there and know from exactly who's in charge, what day it is, what missions have been assigned to who's on what fire teams, who's the leader of the fire teams, who's in charge of supplies, who's in charge. Only 3 people have asked for it. I asked for $20 for it, and I couldn't even get that. But because I really, really thought it was important, I sent it to those 3 people for free. That's how important it is. Not only does it have 180 days worth of codes that you could use for secure radio communications, got the free unit group board, status board. Yeah. There it is. You come across, and guys don't. If you come across somebody who has to be the alpha male, he is not the leader you want. Because the alpha male operates on the premise of self-interest, selfishness. He doesn't care. He may say he does, but he does not. He's only worried about himself and his. That's it. If you find yourself in a group like that, you may want to consider leaving and getting a proper leadership role, a proper leadership in position for a group is, I can't tell you how important it is. But when you have poor leadership, you know it. Oh, believe me. Don't believe me? How many of you are at work and you got a supervisor who he's just not up to the job. He's not up to the task. How many of you, you know the guy I'm talking about. Or you know the woman I'm talking about. They were put in position for whatever reason, and it turns out they're a disaster. There's an old saying, you will rise to the level of your incompetency. And you will never go beyond that level of incompetency, and you will never go back down to the level that you are really good at. Not everybody is going to rise and rise and rise. Everybody has a limit, and that limit's very simple. All right, it's very simple. Either you're good at what you do, but if they give you promotion, you get that promotion, and now you're lost. You're a freaking disaster, and everybody knows it. But the higher-ups will never admit they made a mistake and put that person back down to their level of competency that they were really good at. So that person, and let's face it, I feel sorry for the poor bastards that get stuck in that position because they know everybody hates them. No one respects them. So you got this goof that's here at this level of incompetency. So he knows he's never going anywhere. He also isn't going back to doing something that made him happy. It made him good. So there you have it. There you have it. That's what it is. So that's part of leadership problems. But again, have strict requirements for entry into your group. There's nothing wrong with having a practical exercise, saying, okay, let's face it, you can ask me questions, and I will give you the right answers. You want me in your group? I want to be in your group. Ask me questions, sure. I got the answers. Do something better. Show me. Show me what you can do. We are going to have a field exercise next week. Come on back here, and I'm going to give you a list of 1 or 2 tasks. I want to see if you can do them. See if they can do it. Simple test. It's pass or fail. That's it. Pass or fail. Something to think about that, guys. If you're looking to start a group, you need to start being really careful about this. I wish Terry was calling in tonight because he's been trying to start a group in his neck of the woods for well over a year now. And all these guys want to do, bunch of lip service. Oh, boy, Chuck's calling back in. He wants to talk. We're going to let Chuck talk. Go ahead, my friend. Fire away. Come on, Chuck.
Thank you very much.
Fire away, man.
Okay. So basically, about a couple months ago, John gave me the leadership position for 11th APG. Unfortunately, the situation that I'm in right now is I don't think we have people for 11 APG at this particular point. We do have an idea about what other groups are out there, and I'm trying to reach out to my contacts to see if I can set up a meeting with them. But in the meantime, CRN has many listeners from all around the country, from all around the world. I have no idea what kind of experience, what kind of resources that CRN has at its disposal. Maybe you guys have your own group. Maybe you don't. So here's my proposal. If you have your own group in your area, I want you to email me and let me know, if you have that group in the general area or your general operating area or AO, area of operations. I don't want to know your exact location. I want to know if you have a group together. If so, how many people and your general location. If CRN is going to have a network, then we need to know where our allies are in other parts of the country, right? So if another group is in dire straits, then maybe there's a group elsewhere, it may not be in close proximity, maybe it's farther away, but then they can be reached out to for assistance. And then when two groups meet up, well, their group just got larger and they're accumulating or combining the resources together. Okay, it's like a help network, so to speak. So my email address is Shimpy, that's Sierra Hotel India, Mike Papa India 06@yahoo.com. If you have a group out there, tell me what your general location or AO is. Maybe keep it to a county name. Don't mention state. Give me that information and a contact number of who to reach to represent someone in your group that can speak on the group's behalf. Okay.
Would you?
And it will be kept confidential. It's not going to be publicly disclosed at all whatsoever.
On the video feed, type in your email address
for other CRN listeners to know who's out there. And right now, we just have a show that everyone is listening to. Maybe there are a few people are chiming in. Oh, wait. Hold on a second. I want to mute myself and hear what John has to say.
Would you, on the video feed, the chat video, type in your email address? Just type it in there. Makes it easy. There you go. Continue on your rant, sir. Boink. There you go.
Okay, so long story short, if you're a CRN listener, if you appreciate the importance of prepping, of making sure that your family has the essentials that they need in the event something bad goes down, be that nuclear war, be that a weather tragedy or earthquake or whatever, tell me who you are, okay? If you're a lone wolf and you don't want to tell me, your location, fine, I get that. But if you're a group, and if you're a group that will be open to new membership, to accepting people in your area, or if you're a group that will be open to assisting a group of CRN listeners in another area, maybe not too far away, who knows? I won't know if you're far away or not. I won't know where any of your locations are if I don't know who you are. That being said, I really do need you to, if you have a group, please email me, okay, with the county and state. Don't tell me your city or your exact address. Let me have a general idea of what your complement is in terms of manpower. And then we'll draw a picture on the map to see where everyone is at. One person's name to represent your group, please. I don't want to have multiple people representing the same group and get different information. So if you could do that for me, I'd really appreciate it. And John, that's all I have for now.
All right, buddy. Thank you, my friend. So, we're going to try and remedy this issue, or at least help you remedy that issue, because it's important. That's why. All right. We're just about out of time tonight, but I wanted to touch base with you. I wanted you all to know this. This is something we as preppers don't like to talk about, but it needs to be discussed. So let the record reflect we have done just that. Discuss something that wasn't fun, something that is imperative to our combined collective survival. Rob, I just got your notification of your just donation. Thank you. Where is he? Where is this person? Pete A. Welcome to the broadcasts. Very good. I'm glad to have you here, sir. Thank you. I'm glad you're here. Tim is still nursing his ankle. Do not expect him to do anything useful because he is useless and weak. And I want to thank Chuck for coming in here and just putting it on the line, telling it out like it is. Sometimes it's not easy to get here and just tell it like it is, because let's face it, it's not very popular. Welcome to my world. So, okay, enough for that. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I'll have to get hold of Chuck on that one. Interesting. Yes, Tim, you should take offense that you're useless and weak right now. Maybe next time you'll be a little bit more careful, and you won't roll your ankle to the point it's almost broken. Yeah. Well, I missed one afternoon of work, and I just got an x-ray. Yeah, right. Okay. Enough of me. I can't give Tim any more hell right now. I'm lucky he's even listening in tonight. So with that taken care of, I'm going to post it because I want everybody to see what this clown out west looks like. Now, Chuck seems to think this guy was arrested shortly after the National Geographic episode aired. That doesn't make him any more dangerous or less dangerous. It just means he was incarcerated for a bit. All right. Gary, thanks for tuning in tonight, my friend, down in Louisiana. I appreciate it. Rob, no rush on the equipment. We're going to talk about this because if you want to get this your show started here on CRN, that I'll help you out with it. We'll have to work on equipment and how things are going to work. It should be difficult. Okay, like I said, at the beginning of the year, there'll be some stuff being changed in the background here at CRN. The broadcast will continue. We will continue to search for a platform that might be better than Blog Talk Radio. So far, for the price and for what we're getting, it's going to be very difficult to beat. It's just the way it is, guys. That doesn't mean that we won't keep on looking. We will continue to look. We will also, if you, listeners, if you want to do a show here on Contra Radio Network, get a hold of me, contraradio@live.com, contraradio@live.com. Tell me what kind of show you want to do. We'll discuss what it is you'll need to do, and we'll go from there. Rob A. listened to the show last week. He was my guest. We spoke about homesteading. Some people thought it might be a good idea if he had his own show. Rob's considering it. We've discussed a little bit about some of the equipment he'll need to get. It's not expensive, but there's no rush on it. We'll get that. So if you think you'd like a show on homesteading, let me know. I will forward it to Rob. Let him know he's got some listener support out there for it. Homesteading is not prepping. Homesteading is learning how to live or how to live self-sufficiently. Does that make sense to you? Yeah? Okay. That's what we're talking about. All right. I think we're about done here with that. I don't think of anything else. Let me think. I'm still playing with this idea, guys, and I'm just kind of molding around. And guys, like I said, we got some stuff coming up at the end, in the background of CRN. I got Dawn pushing hard on some things, only because I've been cracking the whip on her, because she needs it. Otherwise, she has mission creep, and she's going everywhere except where I want her to go. So I have to crack the whip on her on occasion, bring her back to reality. I do like Dawn; she gets things done. I just got to get her focused on that. So, anyway, some stuff taking place in the background you won't even notice. I think I got it all covered. Again, thank you to Charles in Nebraska, Pat in Illinois. Pat, you need to call in sometime, my friend. I want to hear about the dogs tearing up his fence. He sent me a very generous donation, and attached was a note. The dogs had torn up his fence, so they had to get a good talking to. It's like, I want to hear this story. But anyway, I believe he works afternoon shift, so he's probably listening and driving around right now. And, of course, to Rob, who has committed through Patreon.com a very generous donation. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we're going to get his show together about homesteading. Let your friends know. Think about it. Let your friends know. Contra Radio Network. Preparedness Radio. We don't always talk about the fun, popular things. Sometimes we talk about the things that have to be discussed, because that's what responsible, mature adults can do. And don't forget, in 3 days, Antifa is planning to come out and kick everybody's ass. Okay. So, if you've been a part of the CRN group page, I've been posting all their propaganda so that you can see if they're coming to a city near you. Let your conscience dictate what you think is right. And I will let you discuss that on your own. Determine for yourself. I know Austin H. down in Texas, he turned out to do battle with those idiots. There were more patriots than there were Antifa. They didn't start any crap. They just packed up their crap and left. Yeah, screw you and their freaking credibility. Watch them go right down the toilet. They'll all be circling the drain. But let's hope that on November 4th, they do their resistance. They're going to overthrow the government. Say when. I'll be there. I haven't been released from my oath. I'll be there. All right, my friends. As it is, we'll say thank you again.
90 seconds.
For joining me tonight here on the Contra Radio Network. I'm John Jeffers. Friday night, the Contra Dawn Show. She has all kinds of interesting subjects. I let her off the hook. I let her off the leash. I let her have her show about whatever she wants to talk about. I don't care. All right. With that said, I want to say good night. My prepper and patriot friends, I say to you this. Be safe, be alert, and be vigilant. I'm John Jeffers for the Contra Radio Network, saying good night and thank you for spending some of your time.
60 seconds.
We'll see you next week.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.